Good afternoon everyone, and thank you all for joining us. So today we're going to be looking at what the top 10 reasons are for hosting your contact center in the cloud. We want to make this session as interactive as possible, and we want to give you the opportunity to ask questions as we go through the content. We've built polls into the webinar because we are keen to understand what your attitudes are towards the cloud in relation to your own businesses, and ultimately how this compares to the motivators we have seen within our own existing customer base. Everyone on the webinar should be able to ask questions throughout, which we will keep until the Q&A section at the end of the webinar. Please do send these across because your input really is invaluable. We really want to understand what your perceptions of the cloud are, and more importantly, how we can potentially help your businesses. Okay, before we get started, let's take a moment to introduce ourselves and provide a background of who we are. My name's Mark Atherton and I'm Business Development Manager here at Noble Systems. I've been with the business now for almost 3 years and I'm responsible for generating new business leads and also managing key accounts within the Noble customer base. So due to the nature of my role, I am constantly speaking with people who have a direct interest in the cloud, whether that be a prospect or existing customer, and have encountered a range of motivators for businesses opting for a cloud environment, many of which we will be covering today.
Thanks, Mark. My name's Alan Trickett. I'm a sales engineer with Noble Systems, and I've been with the organisation for just coming up to 2 years now. So my role is to support Mark and the rest of the sales team from a technical perspective, and a key element of my role involves responding to RFP documents. And during my time at Noble Systems, I've seen quite a significant increase in requirements for hosted contact centre capability, be it for disaster recovery or for a fully hosted production contact centre platform.
Okay, thanks Alan. So this is the agenda for today, and these are the main points we'll cover in today's session. Firstly, we'll introduce Noble Systems and provide an overview of where we sit in relation to the cloud. We will then review the UK cloud market from a general standpoint, where the industry is moving, and finally the main reasons we've found for businesses wanting to move either the entire contact centre operation or particular components of it into the cloud. This will be followed by a Q&A session at the end, and today's session should finish at around 1:45. Okay, so who are Noble Systems? Well, for those of you who perhaps don't know, we're a global leader in the customer communications industry, and we provide solutions for unified comms, business process management and analytics. Our core competency has typically always been in the outbound and blended sector, which is an area we've specialised in for 25 years. This certainly continues to be the case, as we were recently awarded the Market Share Leadership Award by Frost & Sullivan. This really is evidence of our company's leadership position within the industry. Our client base within North America has grown to more than 20% of the outbound dialer market, overtaking the former market share leader by several percentage points. And this is actually in large due to the emergence of the cloud, with 75% of new business sales being cloud-based last year. Despite our success within the outbound market, this shouldn't really detract from the fact that we provide a fully unified contact center platform. We have continually developed our platform to include new technology such as the addition of ACD, voice recording and blended WFM. These technologies are available through either a premise cloud or premise cloud hybrid. We're continually adding to our platform and are doing so through making strategic acquisitions such as Austin Logistics, or you may know them as ALI, whose product portfolio we've rebranded as Noble IQ. To give you an idea of the scale of Noble, tens of thousands of agents use our technology at over 4,000 client installations globally. Here within the UK we have over 300 clients which cover a range of vertical markets. We have 25 years experience in the contact centre industry and are one of the most recognised contact centre brands across the globe. Okay, let's talk about the UK cloud market with some key statistics currently being on the screen. The UK cloud market is rapidly changing, and certainly here at Noble Systems we've seen a significant increase in client preference towards the cloud, particularly over the last 3 to 5 years. Large enterprise level contact centres are now seriously considering the cloud as a viable deployment option, and traditionally this hasn't been the case. Companies are beginning to view the cloud as a creative way to increase the overall effectiveness of their contact centres. It's certainly taken the industry a fair amount of time to become completely comfortable with the value proposition that the cloud has to offer, but having been won over by many of the benefits that we will discuss today, managers are beginning to realise that they are now able to manage their own business as opposed to merely its infrastructure. For Noble, as I'll explain in a few slides' time, technically the cloud is merely another deployment option, just another delivery model for contact centre applications. But these marketing statistics are evidence of the fact that the majority of the cloud market has really been a game changer, as it continues to play a major role in reinvigorating an otherwise mature technology sector. The cloud is by far the fastest growing area in the call centre market, and we thoroughly expect this ongoing trend to continue. The rate of growth is certainly persistent, with Gartner naming cloud computing as one of the top 10 strategic technologies for 2010. Okay, so moving on to our first poll of the day. The first poll of the day is, have you deployed or are you in the process of deploying any elements of your contact center in the cloud? So if you could simply please answer yes, no, or otherwise please say that you don't have a contact center. Okay, so we see a fairly even split between those who have a contact center and those who don't. It's quite interesting that there is such an even split. I suppose that means that the industry, I would presume that you guys are still contemplating the cloud as a serious deployment method in deploying enterprise level contact center applications. So that's a really interesting split that we see. Maybe your opinion will change as we cover the content. Right, so now we move on to the main section of the webinar and reveal what the key motivators are for businesses wanting to host their contact centers in the cloud. So the first reason for businesses choosing the cloud is to reduce expenditure, and from a business perspective, this is often the most compelling case for businesses making a transition to a cloud-based model. The cloud commercial model is stark in comparison to the traditional premise-based model, because organizations are no longer restricted by capital budgets, as traditionally contact centers will be based on a CapEx model. However, the cloud brings with it many different and in many instances more favorable commercial models. Organizations can now deploy selected technologies using a more agile OpEx budget, whilst avoiding the costly investment in a technical infrastructure. Making the transition to an OpEx model has suited many of our current customers. Companies of all sizes are now seriously considering the cloud. Typically, although Noble primarily deal with enterprise level contact centers, I found myself having more serious discussions with SMBs who, due to the difference in commercial model, have now found they can fully utilize the cloud as it allows them to grow organically, and they can add to the system as they in turn mature themselves. But notably, the cloud can cater for any organization, whether it be big or small. The increasing prevalence of cloud-based contact centers really illustrates the triumph of software as a service model, as over the past decade the cloud has matured into a stable solution that gives companies the opportunity to save money while simultaneously improving productivity. The elimination of the need to buy expensive hardware means that organizations can free up other funds for business areas, whilst the responsiveness and reliability of the IT operation maintains its productivity. Operational costs remain minimal with underlying technologies such as voice over IP, facilitating a leaner and more cost-efficient operation. Companies are freed of aging hardware which require maintenance, take up space, require large amounts of energy to power and cool. Companies often realise a saving through reducing the IT headcount, as they no longer require vast numbers of experienced and, in most cases, highly skilled technical experts whose jobs involve maintaining and repairing a network that is essentially the lifeblood of the business.
Thanks, Mark. So the second reason for moving to a cloud-based contact centre is around rapid deployment. So there's no requirement to upgrade your existing server infrastructure, or indeed to invest in any additional server infrastructure in order to deploy contact centre capability within your business. All that's required is a multi-protocol label switching or MPLS connection between the contact centre location and the hosting data centre. If it's not practical to implement an MPLS connection or the associated costs are too high, it's also possible to establish connectivity to the data centre by means of a VPN connection over the internet. The effectiveness of an internet-based connection is obviously reliant upon the bandwidth available, and speech quality could be affected by factors outside your control, such as ISP bottlenecks and outages. And these are major considerations to be considered when deciding the most appropriate means of connectivity. A hosted contact centre deployment also frees up time associated with implementing infrastructure. Your IT resources can focus on on-premise related activities instead of procuring and building contact centre infrastructure. Finally, at the agent desktop level, since the majority of contact centre interfaces are web-based, they can be run on the existing desktop infrastructure without the need to invest in high-spec machines that have to run contact centre administration and reporting applications, as well as your other business tools. Reason number 3 is around the rapid innovation opportunities that a hosted contact centre platform can provide. Any updates to the contact centre platform are carried out seamlessly and effectively by your provider with no impact to your business. With a cloud-based solution, you should ensure point releases and major upgrades can be deployed in a controlled manner while your agents continue to handle customer contacts, even in a 24/7 operating environment. As a result, new capabilities can be deployed without the need for upgrades and expansions to your own infrastructure, since this is all taken care of by your provider, again freeing up your IT resources to handle other matters. These new capabilities also now provide a quicker route to market for your own products and services. New strategies can be planned in advance and rolled out with minimal disruption to either you or your business, or your customers.
Okay, great, thanks Alan. Well, now we'll move on to reason number 4, which is for improved operational efficiency. So businesses are continually looking for ways to enhance efficiency and resilience within their own contact centres. The contact centre is typically the hub for most businesses. Essentially, it's the main vehicle through which businesses generate revenue or retain a loyal customer base. So if this hub is lost, then the business simply can't do business. So ask yourself, what would a serious amount of downtime mean to your business? The cloud offers a virtual system which offers businesses a safety net and is not subject to the same misfortunes as premise-based systems typically are. Contact centres themselves are facing a big shift in their own customers' expectations. The way that customers communicate has been changing rapidly, and new forms of communication are expected from businesses too. So that means that straightforward call centre is no longer enough. Email, web chat and social media and even video are becoming the expected forms of communication. Contact centres are feeling this pressure, yet the legacy equipment is hampering their ability to meet consumer needs. Within our cloud customer base, more than half of all contact centre managers felt that premise-based systems were preventing them from a multimedia rollout. It's also incredibly easy to upscale the contact centre during periods of high seasonal demand, for example. Agents and managers are given the ability to access the system from anywhere, allowing them to work from home, essentially creating a contact centre without walls which can be managed centrally. The fifth reason is that employing a cloud-based infrastructure allows you to reinvest your own time on focusing on your core business. Essentially, it places the emphasis back on those whose core business it is to provide contact center technology, and the management and maintenance of the technical infrastructure lies purely with them. With less hardware to manage and through ultimately having fewer failure points within your network, which you have to respond to, you will have more time to build competitive strategies which will allow your company to grow and become successful in your chosen sector. A popular myth is that a good IT team are those who fix issues the fastest and who ensures that the network is functioning correctly. The cloud means that this responsibility is largely shifted to the vendor of choice. So what does that mean for your IT team? Well, it means that they're able to be utilized in a way that is more strategically beneficial for your company, whereby they can assess the company's use of technology and whether its usage is suitable to achieve the business goals and objectives. It allows you to become far more customer focused, and obviously these are the people who matter most for your business. So if we now move on to our second poll of the day, if you could please tell us what is the core focus of your contact center. The options are collections and debt management, sales, telemarketing, customer service and other. Okay, so the vast majority of you who voted have said that the core focus of your contact centre is collections and debt management, and that's hardly surprising. Historically, Noble have had a great deal of success in that industry, and it has typically been our core focus, so it really is unsurprising that those of you who have contact centres, the core focus of those is collections and debt management. That's fairly typical of what we would have expected.
Okay, thanks Mark. So the sixth reason for moving to a hosted environment is that this allows you to deploy capability to remote centres rapidly and with minimal cost. For example, an outsourcer may acquire a new client or may need to upscale its level of service to an existing client. Now, in the traditional on-premise environment, the provision of additional telephony resources in the form of PSTN trunks and agent positions can take a number of weeks, whereas a hosted solution allows you to flex your trunks and your agents up or down rapidly as business requirements dictate. And you can also make use of the most optimal labour markets wherever they may be globally based, for example, a specific language requirement or specific skills that may not be available locally. Since the cost of labour can fluctuate, a hosted contact centre solution allows you to rapidly bring online agents in different geographies should economic needs dictate. Home workers can also be rapidly deployed in either emergency situations where the main contact centre workspace is not accessible, or to make use of part-time workers who have a flexible work schedule. For a more structured DR deployment, agents can be relocated to an alternative location in the event that the main contact centre has to be evacuated, and can then become productive much more rapidly than in a traditional on-premise alternate location that may require, for example, the redirection of calls or the copying of configuration data, etc. So moving on to the seventh reason, and this is that a hosted platform is a risk-free solution. Other than the data connection, which of course can be duplicated for resilience, there's no reliance on an internal server infrastructure. You should ensure that your service provider has resilience and disaster recovery as part of their contact centre offering, providing a seamless switchover in the event of an issue within the data centre. You can also scale up and scale down the system based upon business requirements, giving you the ability to react quickly to demands that your customers place upon you. This level of flexibility is very difficult, if not impossible, to achieve with a traditional on-premise solution. There are also options to deploy hybrid architectures that can make use of your existing investment in contact centre technology and indeed complement it with a hosted element that can be used for a number of business purposes. For example, your existing on-premise contact centre solution can be utilised as a production system with the cloud platform available for flexible expansion to meet new business requirements. In addition, the hosted platform can act as a DR platform ready to be activated immediately in the event of a major issue that affects your main production system. If voice and screen recording is a fundamental requirement of your contact center capabilities, the flexible online storage availability within a hosted platform can allow you to store many thousands of hours of recordings within the cloud for immediate access by team leaders and contact center managers. So moving on to the 8th reason, and this is around the fact that you don't need IT support or a data center. So any hardware, operating systems and application support is all the responsibility of your provider, and this frees up your IT resources to focus on specific on-premise applications that can drive the business forwards. Any operating system patching or updates are also the responsibility of your hosting provider, and that also frees up your IT resources from those intensive update procedures. And then since the platform is hosted entirely on external hardware platforms, this also frees up valuable rack space within your internal comms rooms for applications that cannot currently be hosted externally. The 9th reason is around streamlining your processes. So when moving to a hosted environment, it gives you the opportunity to look at your existing processes and then to identify ways of improving them. This will involve investigating how your current on-premise contact center related applications work together and seeing how these may be impeding your operation. For example, your agent call quality assurance process may be based upon an Excel spreadsheet and involves team leaders live monitoring or listening to call recordings while completing the spreadsheet. A hosted platform that incorporates a quality assurance module can simplify this process by delivering a single administrative interface that allows the call recording to be paused or rewound, as well as allowing team leads to complete an integrated scorecard. So the final reason that I want to outline today is probably around the most important consideration currently any contact center has, and that's that of security and compliance. In a hosted environment, one of the key factors to satisfy yourself on is the demarcation of data responsibility between the hosting provider and your organisation. You should also consider how any shared data will be handled. You should document the transaction journey, illustrating all the systems, applications and the environments that the data touches. You must also verify that you're not unknowingly storing or transmitting any data that will make you non-compliant, and there are numerous products on the market that can help you to achieve this. There are also a number of annual checks that must be made in order to maintain compliance. These include training your staff to follow PCI DSS procedures and ensuring that you're only keeping data that's essential and ensuring that it's encrypted and unmasked. For the full list of your responsibilities, you should refer to the current PCI DSS standard. You should also investigate the compliance status of your provider to ensure that they have the necessary processes in place to maintain the appropriate level of compliance for a hosting provider. And finally, you should ensure that your provider can meet the requirements of the audits that you will carry out on them, and this includes any tests or scans that you need to carry out.
Great, thanks Alan. So throughout this webinar we've identified the main reasons for companies opting to host their contact centre in the cloud. So to summarise, they are to reduce expenditure, for rapid deployment, for rapid innovation, for improved operational efficiency, because it allows you to focus on your core business, it offers you on-demand geographical distribution, enhanced flexibility and scalability, it offers you the ability to streamline your business processes, it offers increased business continuity and also increased security and compliance. Okay, so the final poll of the afternoon, leading on from this, if you are thinking about hosting your contact center in the cloud, I would like to understand which of these reasons is the most compelling. So could you please choose one from the list below? The options are rapid deployment and innovation, reduce expenditure, improved efficiency, flexibility and scalability, security and compliance, and other. Okay, the main reason that's showing in the poll is because of improved efficiency, flexibility and scalability. Now this is hardly surprising as well, and this is a reason that our customers have cited for moving to a cloud-based deployment, and I suppose it's the main reason for large enterprise contact centres seriously considering the cloud as a viable deployment option, because years ago in its infancy it simply wasn't possible to have the scale of operation in the cloud that would perhaps suit an enterprise level contact centre. So it's hardly surprising that we see that, and that is seriously an effective reason. Okay, so we've revealed what the key motivators are, but how can Noble help organisations who want to set their contact centre up in the cloud? Okay, so a bit about Noble Systems in the cloud. As I mentioned previously, Noble Cloud is purely another deployment option, and the enterprise level solution you find within the premise-based model isn't diluted at all. Since its inception more than 15 years ago, hosted contact centre services were primarily tailored to suit small to medium businesses, offering scaled down features in exchange for convenience and low cost of entry. As the market has matured, a new breed of cloud offerings has redefined the value proposition and really essentially changed the game. With the introduction of Noble Enterprise Cloud, Noble Systems offers an alternative to traditional premise-based systems, not just a stripped-down version of standard features. So armed with the full functionality of Noble Systems' enterprise solution, Enterprise Cloud is a unified platform with an integrated management console for a single point of entry to advanced features and tools. Noble Cloud provides a flexible solution that allows you to scale your operations needs to meet your changing needs. So whether this be for for adding seasonal employees, to handle volume spikes, to growing your permanent workforce, Noble makes it easy to add and remove agents based on your business requirements. Wherever your employees are located, whether that be on site, at a remote office, or maybe working from home, Noble connects them all with our IP-based networks, and our cloud system design allows you to easily migrate your CAS solution to a premise-based platform with very little downtime and no real retraining requirements should your business and financial strategies change. Noble Cloud Elastic Capacity allows you to instantly access broader bandwidth to expand your contact center capacity on demand wherever your agents are located. This is based on a hybrid model of premise and cloud and breaks down traditional barriers to support volume spikes, peak periods, new programs, work from home agents, etc., and to help you grow your business. Noble Sales Cloud is a solution which fits in particularly well with current client demand, and you may have seen the recent press release that spoke about our integration with Salesforce. So this is an open CTI integration which is actually available on the App Store for Salesforce. The Fast Start program offers inside sales teams the additional benefit of a streamlined implementation process. The reduced setup period gives companies faster access to enterprise level features so that sales reps can ramp up their efficiency and make more sales calls more quickly. With Noble's integration to the CRM platform, sales reps can work within the CRM workflow environment that they are ultimately familiar with and have one-click access to a range of contact management tools to dial a number, schedule a callback, transfer a call, etc. We found this to be particularly exciting for both prospects and customers alike. Okay, so the final part of the webinar, we will take a look at some of the questions that have come through. Okay. Good. We've had quite a few come through, which is always a relief. So a really good question that has been asked is, what's the typical difference in deployment time between a cloud and on-premise contact center installation. And I think that's probably best answered by you if you'd like to take that one.
Yeah, so I suppose typically we've seen a reduction of probably around about 80% in the time it takes to deploy a cloud solution compared to an on-premise solution. And there's a number of factors that affect both us as a provider and also the customer side in terms of how that time's reduced. So, for example, because we as a provider have got relationships with telco providers, we can deploy SIP trunks with a minimal amount of lead time, which reduces the length of the project. And also on the customer side, IT teams don't have to spend time getting quotes for servers, implementing operating systems, patching, etc. So there's big savings to be made in time to bring that deployment time down to an absolute minimum.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Alan. Another question that's come through, which is a good one. How much time can I expect to save in IT resource through the cloud? So I'll take that one, Alan. As we explained, the amount of time that's freed up from IT resource is actually exponential. Our own customers have attested to this and cited it as a key reason for moving towards the cloud. So we find that on average IT spend perhaps 4 to 6 hours over multiple days to handle the implementation of a new IT resource. So depending on the length of the project, this can actually span over a number of weeks. Moving to the cloud means that upgrades and product updates are predominantly handled through the cloud, as applications are web-based and all you need is a web browser and you're online and you're ready to go. Okay, another question that's been asked is, how would my data be separated from other clients' data? That's a really good point, and it touches upon the security point that Alan was talking about earlier. So if it's concerning the Noble architecture, then the solution is installed on its own virtual machine, and it's completely separate from any other client's data. So essentially you have your own system which is separate from all others. So the database is specific to you as a client and only you have access to it. Okay, so looking at all the other questions, thank you all very much for attending today. We do have some other really good questions, but they're probably best answered outside of this webinar. So with that said, please note mine and Alan's contact details, and please do get in touch if you'd like a more detailed discussion around any of the content we've touched upon today. The presentation used today, incidentally, will be emailed out to you all later on, in case any of you want to refer back to it. Otherwise, thank you all very much for attending today, and goodbye.
Thank you, goodbye.